Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLuga. Thank you so much for tuning in here on Sunday, September 22nd. We've got a little keys to victory here this morning. Jaguars taking on the Bills in Buffalo on Monday Night Football. So no Jaguars football today. They cannot hurt you today, Duval. It's true. Hopefully, right? But the Jags taking on the Bills. We've got keys to victory. We've looked at this contest a lot already. We've talked a lot about it. A lot of this is you're going against a very good team, right? But you also have the fact that the Jaguars have been beating themselves in a lot of regards so far. So they've got to not beat themselves, and then they can give themselves a chance to contend with the Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football. And we're going to talk about it here. Again, the keys to victory. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can also check out genjag.com/shop, pick up some new Duval gear, become a channel member here on YouTube. So my first key to victory, get Christian Kirk going. Like we've talked about a lot of other things. That has not been a huge topic this week because of so many other errors that have been going on with the Jaguars offense. But Christian Kirk only has 2 catches this year. This is a guy that has been key for the Jaguars' success over the past 2 seasons. And in Jaguars wins, he's averaged about 5 catches per game. And that's over the last 2 years. So, every game the Jaguars are winning, he's usually having a fairly big impact. And so having him be able to be a chain mover, whether it be, catching passes down the field on slot fades or deep overs, running two-way goes, beating man coverage, sitting down in zones, he's been so critical for the Jaguars and for Trevor Lawrence and for the comfortability, the ability to move the chains on second and third down. Get Christian Kirk going in this game. He hasn't been targeted very often early in the season, and I think that has led to some issues with the Jaguars offense beyond what we've already talked about quite a bit. Obviously, no Evan Ingram, which makes Christian Kirk's value and role in this offense even more important because those 2 guys, while they have different skill sets, they operate in a lot of similar ways in similar areas of the field, and they're chain movers for the Jaguars offense. Christian Kirk needs to be that moving forward for the Jaguars offense to feel a little bit more cohesive than it has over the first 2 games. I'd also say defensively, don't let Josh Allen off the hook. You've got to slow down the run. With James Cook, Ray Davis, these runners they have are so impactful, and Josh Allen, a runner, is in his own right. Their running game has been very strong. They've been blocking it up well, and even more critical to their success than that is just James Cook's speed, his elusiveness, his vision and patience. He's been fantastic for them. And Ray Davis is no slouch either. They're a rookie out of Kentucky. So you've got 2 running backs you really need to slow down. And to me, this is a key to victory because they really haven't been slowed down. They haven't had to put the entire offense on Josh Allen in the passing game yet this season. Now, Josh Allen scored 4 touchdowns in week 1, but again, they were running the ball. So if you can slow down James Cook and Ray Davis and make them a little bit more one-dimensional on offense, I think you give yourself a better chance than the Cardinals and the Dolphins did in the first 2 weeks of the season. And the good news for the Jaguars there is they've had a strong run defense so far, giving up 3.8 yards per carry. Devin Lloyd, Foye Luke, and they have been great against the run. Their backup linebackers that have been rotating in have been good against the run. Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker always bring it as well. And Devon Hamilton in spurts has certainly looked like himself at times. A couple other guys on the front. So if they're able to slow down the rushing attack and make the Bills beat them throwing the football, I think that gives them a better chance because right now I think the Jaguars have a pretty good secondary even with Tyson Campbell out. And the matchups really are interesting because there's no Stephon Diggs. There's no Gabe Davis. So you're going to have a lot of the targets funneled to Dalton Kincaid, to Khalil Shakir, and these guys operate out of the slot more than they do outside. So you have some different matchups potentially in this game. If the Jaguars can get Darnell Savage up for this game, who's dealing with the quad, that would be huge as well. But slow down the run. I think that's critical. Switching back to the offensive side of the ball, there's a lot we can talk about here, but you need to stay balanced on offense. You don't want to get predictable like you were at the end of week 1. So like even if you have a strong start to this game, you can't just completely go away from the pass, even if you have a nice lead. And the Jaguars only had a 3-point lead when they went into a shell against the Dolphins. So can't have that. Offensive line communication and communication as a whole needs to be just at least acceptable. Like it was horrible last week against the Browns at home, which makes no sense. So communication from play caller, quarterback, and even, quarterback to offensive line, offensive linemen communicating with each other. That's going to be critical. And they had mistakes last week that were unacceptable, even according to Press Taylor. He said there's no way they should be dealing with some of the things they dealt with last week. So that's on everybody. Third down efficiency's got to be better. And some of these things we're talking about already are going to help with third down efficiency. But the Jaguars offense has been unable to sustain drives for a lot of the season so far. They did do it for the first 3 quarters against the Dolphins. They were moving the ball and having long drives, but end of the game and last week against the Browns, they did not have a ton of long drives. And getting third downs, staying on the field in that situation is going to help them do that. It's going to help the Jaguars defense not get as tired. And it's, going to help you score points and not have such a lopsided time of possession situation like they did last week. I think getting Tank Bigsby going can help in that regard as well. He's a tough guy to tackle. Explosiveness, power. He's got a little bit of a matchup here if he can go, and so does Travis Etienne. But Etienne's more of the speed guy. Bigsby is more the guy that can actually break tackles. They've got backup linebackers and no Teron Johnson, so the Buffalo Bills are a little bit banged up in the spots that could really help them in space, get Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne to the ground. So get those guys going for sure. Again, I've talked about balance. I want the Jaguars to stay balanced. I don't want them to be only pass or only run. Like, as long as you can stay balanced, I think you have a shot. The tackles, though, the Jaguars' offensive tackles, they've got to play way better in pass pro in key situations this week. And they have been going through an adjustment period with this offense taking longer to throw, having more play action shots, pushing the ball down the field more. So the entire offensive line is going through an adjustment period, but they've got to get it going here a little bit against a really talented Bills defensive front. Like right now, the strength of the Bills defense is within their defensive front, and also Christian Benford playing great, Rasul Douglas playing very good as well on the outside at corner. And speaking of the outside corners, the Jaguars, they've got to target Brian Thomas Jr. more than 5 times this week, in my opinion. Christian Kirk needs to be more involved. Brian Thomas Jr. needs to be more involved as well. I know you've got Gabe Davis, who you like hitting the ball down the field, but I think that Christian Kirk and Brian Thomas Jr. potentially present more consistency than a Gabe Davis can, and certainly than a young Brenton Strange, who, Gabe Davis and Brenton Strange more than doubled the targets of Brian Thomas Jr. and Christian Kirk last week, right? So get those guys more involved. Brian Thomas Jr. especially. Feed him the ball in different ways. His skill set has more to it than just these vertical deep shots. You can get him the ball quickly, screens. Obviously, you have to block. Gabe Davis, wide receivers, got to block in that situation, but get him the ball more creatively and allow him to kind of assert himself even more because he has the skill set to do it. And finally, my last one, switching back to the defensive side of the ball, the safety's got to tackle. Ryan Nielsen was very complimentary of his safety duo this week, who have played a lot of football for them, but they have not been tackling well. They just haven't. Antonio Johnson has missed 28.6% of his tackles. Andre Sisco, 30% of his tackles. So these two must tackle better. You cannot give the Bills easy opportunities by missing tackles, right? So that's going to do it for the keys to victory. I think we've talked a lot about this matchup. I think that these keys to victory are going to be huge for the Jaguars here this week. And if they're able to stop beating themselves, they're going to have a chance to actually beat another football team. We'll see if they can get it done. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Check out genjag.com/shop. Pick up some new Duval gear. You can become a channel member here on YouTube. Y'all have a good one.